On July 23, 1892, in the quiet village of Ejersa Goro, a child was born under the glow of the Ethiopian sun. He was named Lij Tafari Makonnen, meaning child of the respected one. His father, Ras Makonnen, a trusted general and governor under Emperor Menelik II, believed Tafari was destined for greatness. From an early age, Tafari's intellect set him apart. He was educated in Amharic, Ge'ez, and French, and learned diplomacy, strategy, and leadership. Ras Makonnen often told him stories of the Solomonic dynasty, linking their bloodline to King Solomon and the Queen of Sheba, instilling pride and purpose in the young boy. By 1916, Ethiopia faced turmoil. Empress Zuditu ascended the throne, but it was young Ras Tafari who emerged as the real power behind the crown. At just 24 years old, he became regent plenipotentiary and heir to the throne. Unlike his predecessors, Ras Tafari was determined to bring Ethiopia into the modern world. He strengthened ties with foreign nations, sending emissaries to Europe, fostering education, and advocating for Ethiopia's presence on the world stage. Ras Tafari believed that education and modernization were the keys to Ethiopia's progress. He welcomed teachers, doctors, and engineers to Ethiopia, laying the foundation for a new era. In 1930, following the death of Empress Zuditu, Ras Tafari was crowned Emperor Haile Sellasie I. The coronation was a spectacle like no other, attended by dignitaries and leaders from across the globe. Haile Sellasie took the title King of Kings, conquering lion of the tribe of Judah, elect of God. In the early 1900s, Jamaica was a British colony, and many Jamaicans faced poverty, injustice, and hardship. For the oppressed, the Bible became a source of hope, particularly the prophecy in the Book of Revelation, which spoke of a messianic figure from the lineage of David. Revelation 5:5 says, "Behold, the Lion of the tribe of Judah has prevailed." Many Jamaicans interpreted this as a prophecy that a black king from Africa would rise to lead and liberate his people. In 1930, Ras Tafari Makonnen was crowned Emperor Haile Selassie Lipman of Ethiopia, the conquering Lion of Judah, claiming descent from King Solomon and the Queen of Sheba. To many Jamaicans, this was the fulfillment of prophecy. Marcus Garvey, a Jamaican political leader and Pan-Africanist, had previously declared, "Look to Africa, where a black king shall be crowned, for the day of deliverance is near." When Haile Selassie ascended the throne, Garvey's words gained new meaning, and many in Jamaica began to revere Haile Selassie as a divine figure. This marked the beginning of the Rastafari movement, a spiritual and cultural movement that saw Emperor Haile Selassie as the Messiah, sent to redeem the African diaspora from oppression. The Ethiopian flag, green, yellow, and red, became a symbol of freedom. And Haile Selassie's titles, such as King of Kings and Elect of God, further solidified his divinity in the eyes of Rastafarians. On April 21, 1966, a historic event occurred. Emperor Haile Selassie visited Jamaica, answering the call of Rastafarians who longed to see the man they revered as the Messiah. The day became known as Groundation Day. More than 100,000 people gathered to greet Haile Selassie. As his plane landed, a wave of emotion swept through the crowd. Some cried, others sang praises, and many collapsed in spiritual ecstasy. When Haile Selassie stepped onto Jamaican soil, Rastafarians saw it as the fulfillment of their faith. The emperor, dressed in his royal Ethiopian attire, greeted the people calmly, observing the passion and reverence around him. During his visit, Haile Selassie met with Rastafarian leaders and Jamaican officials. Though he never claimed divinity, he acknowledged the love and respect Rastafarians showed him and shared a message of unity, faith, and progress. Haile Selassie recreated, "We must become something we have never been, united, tolerant, and understanding of each other for the well-being of humanity." His words inspired not just Rastafarians, but Jamaicans as a whole, strengthening their connection to Ethiopia and their shared African heritage. To honor the Rastafarian devotion to Ethiopia, Haile Sellasie granted 500 acres of land in the Ethiopian town of Shashamane as a home for members of the African diaspora who wanted to return to Africa. Shashamane became a symbol of the Rastafarian dream, a return to Africa, the land of their ancestors. To this day, it remains a spiritual home for Rastafarians from around the world. Haile Selassie's visit to Jamaica and his connection to the Rastafari movement left an enduring legacy. Rastafarians expressed their faith and struggles through reggae music, which carried Haile Selassie's message of unity, freedom, and African pride to the world. Reggae legend Bob Marley immortalized Haile Selassie's words in his song War, taken directly from the Emperor's speech to the United Nations in 1963, where he denounced racism and called for equality. Bob Marley lyrics: "Until the philosophy which holds one race superior and another inferior is finally and permanently discredited and abandoned, everywhere is war." To Rastafarians, Haile Selassie remains the living embodiment of hope, resistance, and African identity. His influence transcends borders, uniting people through faith, music, and shared heritage. Today, the connection between Ethiopia and Jamaica remains strong. Haile Selassie's life and leadership serve as a bridge between Africa and the African diaspora, reminding us of the power of faith, culture, and unity. The Lion of Judah continues to roar, inspiring generations to embrace their roots, fight for justice, and live with purpose. As Rastafarians say, Jah Rastafari lives. From the hills of Ethiopia to the shores of Jamaica, Emperor Haile Selassie's legacy lives on as a symbol of hope, freedom, and unity for people of African descent worldwide. His story reminds us that even in times of struggle, faith can move mountains and bring nations together. His reign marked a new chapter for Ethiopia, one where tradition met modernity. Ethiopia became a symbol of African independence and pride. Haile Selassie's leadership was tested in 1935 when Mussolini's Italy launched an unprovoked attack on Ethiopia. Despite Ethiopia's brave resistance, the Italian forces, armed with poison gas and modern weaponry, overwhelmed the Ethiopian army. Haile Selassie. Speech excerpt. "I ask the 52 nations here assembled, what answer am I to take back to my people? Shall it be that justice has been denied?" Haile Selassie's passionate speech at the League of Nations made him a global symbol of resistance against tyranny. Though Ethiopia fell under occupation, his words echoed around the world, rallying support for Ethiopia's cause. After 5 long years of occupation, Ethiopia was liberated in 1941 with the support of Allied forces during World War II. Haile Selassie returned to Addis Ababa as a hero, welcomed by cheering crowds. His return marked not just the liberation of Ethiopia, but the resilience of a nation that refused to surrender. Haile Selassie declared Ethiopia's sovereignty restored, vowing to rebuild and strengthen the nation. As the world moved into a new era, Haile Selassie turned his focus to African unity. He invited leaders from across the continent to Addis Ababa in 1963, where the Organization of African Unity, OAU, was born. "We must unite now or perish. Let us put our differences aside and fight together for a free and prosperous Africa." His vision of a unified Africa made him the father of Pan-Africanism. Leaders like Kwame Nkrumah and Julius Nyerere looked up to Haile Selassie as a guiding force in the struggle against colonialism. Despite his successes, Haile Selassie's later years were marred by challenges. Famine struck parts of Ethiopia, and political unrest spread across the country. Critics accused his government of neglecting the poor and resisting reform. In 1974, a military junta known as the Derg overthrew Haile Selassie. The emperor, who had ruled Ethiopia for over 40 years, was placed under house arrest. He spent his final days in quiet isolation until his passing in 1975. Though his reign ended in turmoil, Haile Selassie's legacy endures. He remains a symbol of Ethiopian sovereignty, African unity, and global resistance against oppression. To the Rastafarian movement, Haile Selassie is revered as a divine figure, the Messiah who fulfilled the prophecy of freedom and justice for Africa. Haile Selassie's story is one of triumph, resilience, and vision. His leadership inspired not just Ethiopians, but people across the world. Though time may pass, the Lion of Judah's roar still echoes through history, reminding us of the power of faith, courage, and unity.